Paladin is announcing a new tool to help replace the no-turn, low-turn items with sellers with the goal of driving more revenue in your store. Welcome everybody, my name is Charles Owen with Paladin, and we're going to talk today about the new clearance feature. This is a feature that is referred to in the field as sometimes as item change management, closeout items, removing and replacing dead stock. These are all terms which we're going to be talking about today on the clearance feature. So let's get into the first slide here. So what we're going to learn is about PaladinNsight, some of those tools, not just the clearance tool, but other tools that you'll find under the PaladinNsight dials. If you haven't already seen them, hopefully you will be leaning on them in the future to help you better control your inventory. We'll talk about the some clearance sales statistics, which I see that is misspelled. Sorry about that. Paladin's new insight, clearance management product, how to set it up, how to set up items for clearance sales, how to view the items in clearance, and then also we'll talk about what's coming up and more on the horizon. So stay tuned for that. So about PaladinNsight, you've all seen these dials before. What these tell you are your lost opportunities, items that have sold in the past that you may not be selling now or you may be out of. It's very important to know this. That can help you identify items that you need to order more of, and the system should be able to do that for you. The next dial are the investment review. These are items that are meaning to be reviewed or touched or counted or some way need to be reviewed, and they haven't been reviewed for a while. So you can determine that information and go ahead and review those. The next one is loss experience. That's shrinkage, basically, is what that is. And that just happens as you control and manage your shrinkage and do your counts. That will show a report for that information. And the last one on the right are the non-performing assets. These are items that are not selling. And this is kind of an extension. The clearance feature is kind of an extension to help you clear out that dead stock, clear out those non-performers, and replace them with performers, with items that are going to sell. So again, out of stock items, reviewing your investment, loss of items that are lost during shrinkage, overstock items, non-performing assets, and then clearing out dead stock. So that is what we're going to be talking about today, is that last one. Just to give you some stats, a research report released a few years ago shows that inventory mismanagement costs retail businesses roughly $300 billion annually. That's quite a substantial figure. Estimates show that only about 60% of their merchandise sells at full price, which can be a problem. Professional services provider Deloitte found that only about 1/3 of retail executives have confidence in their ability to maintain or improve profit margins in their retail operations. And then retail businesses just need to do a better job with managing dead stock by replacing these items with products that drive more revenue. That is the goal. So to look at the PaladinNsight's new clearance management feature, in Paladin, from the top ribbon, you'll select the inventory module. Once you go into the inventory module, you will see the dials. If for any reason you don't see the dials, it may be tied to your permission. If you're not a manager or an owner, you may not be able to see it if those permissions haven't been granted. And then also we have a way that you can disable the dials altogether. So if you're not seeing the dials and you want to see the dials, please contact support. When you click on any one of those magnifying glasses underneath the dials, you will see this screen here. It will give you the first 4 options: outs, review, losses, overstock, and then a new tab called clearance. When you select clearance, it'll come up and it'll enable you to set this by department and number of items. And it's going to show you all of your departments with the department number, the department name, and then the condition based on percentage of out of date items that haven't been, basically moving in your store. You can sort this list by, once you get into these items, if you notice that on the far left-hand side, there is a magnifying glass. that magnifying glass will enable you to click on that particular department and get a drill down of those items. So once you do that, let's say we click on one of those departments, you'll see what comes up is a list of the individual items. So you can sort by any one of these column headers, such as last sold, stock on hand, retail price, unit cost, what have you. And when you're ready in wanting to add items to clearance, all you have to do is click on that little box on the left-hand side under clearance. So you can do multiple at a time, you can do one at a time, but it's intended that you walk through this, you look at this list, and you identify items that, these are all items that aren't turning, by the way, and it tells you the last time it was sold. Now the default for this, if you notice on the top under clearance, there's a no sales for X number of days. So you can set that to 1 year, 2 years. You can set it to last 6 months, whatever you want. This is going to be looking at and displaying the information in this window based on no sales for that number of given days. So really lets you go back in time and look at items that haven't been turning, and then you can sort by that last sold field. And if you have items that are in there that haven't been sold in 2 years and you have no stock on hand, that to me just sounds like a no-brainer. Now, if there are unique items that you need to have in stock to sell other items, for example, part of a display, you can ignore those. But for the most part, if there are items that are collecting dust, that are getting discolored, or what have you, from just being on your shelf for so long, all you have to do is click that little clearance box on the left-hand side. So you can go down the list, click that clearance box. Now, when you're ready, on the very bottom of the screen, it says clearance down here. When you're ready to add these items to the clearance, click the clearance button on the bottom right-hand corner. As items are checked, they will fall off of this page and be added to a sale list. All right. So here's the another option at the bottom of that screen next to the clearance button is an Excel report. So at any time you can generate a report, and that report is going to show you all the items that have been checked and all the items that are on this list in whichever sort order you asked for. The items for that department will appear in an Excel spreadsheet. Now, how do you set this up? Well, optionally, you can establish a unique department for these items to go into. As you check that checkbox, a department can be replaced with their standard department with a clearance department called clearance. So to do that, you just go to File Setup under the Paladin application. You identify, you go in and you select the Department tab. From there, you click New. This is a one-time thing, just one time you have to set this up. And then you'll put in the name of clearance, just to make it straightforward. And then you'll set a unique department label number, and then save. That's a one-time thing. Now, once this clearance department goes in the system, now you have to turn it on in the clearance menu. So if you go to the clearance department, let's see, so to set it up, you go into File Setup and you go to what's called the tab PaladinNsight. In PaladinNsight, you'll notice on the left-hand side it says Enable Clearance Department. So if you want these items to go into a specific department, it's an optional thing. You do not have to do it, but if you want to, just add that clearance as we did, ID number 7000, and then we just click that little Enable Clearance Department checkbox. And now every time you click that clearance button and you put items on clearance, not only is it going to go on a sale list, but it's also going to modify or change the department to whatever you've named it, in this case clearance. And that's it. You just select the clearance department and you're good to go. There's more on this slide or on this particular image, which we're going to talk about, but this was just setting up for department. Now, class, it is something that is going to be added to the system. Either you can determine a class or we'll assign one for you. And again, you just go to File Setup and you go to that same configuration, PaladinNsight. You'll notice that on the left-hand side, there's also a set system class for clearance items. So again, you can set that class or you can have the system set it for you. And if you set it up, it'll go into class 3 position in inventory. If you don't, it'll override the class in class number 1 position. Very simple. Again, these are one-time setups. You're just setting up the department, you're setting up the class, you're enabling departments in this case and classes to be applied to those clearance items when you click that button. Again, this is just a one-time setup. And then save. Now, you can also modify the clearance variables. What I mean by that is what's happening here when you select those items for clearance is it's putting them in a sale list and assigning a pricing plan to them. In that pricing plan, all you have to do is tell it what percentage do you want and for how many days do you want those items to be on sale. In this case, it defaults to 50% for clearance for 28 days. After the 28 days, it goes into the final clearance percentage discount, which in this case, the default is 75%. So those are the two levels of the clearance or closeout items. Is you say, hey, for 28 days, I want these products to be on sale for 50% off until they're gone. If they're still on the shelf after 28 days, drop them to 75% margin. Paladin will not delete the items. It's up to you to delete the items, but you can change the percentages and number of days if desired. Obviously, it's 100% your choice. Now also, how to set the days not sold. So that days not sold that I showed you on the clearance screen in the PaladinNsight, it defaulted to 365 days. The last year product's not selling. If you like, you can go ahead and put 700 days here or, any number you want, 90 days. Just you can look at items based on when the last time they sold. In here, we call it the clearance warning threshold. On the PaladinNsight screen, it just says number of days not sold. And you can change the default to anything you want. You can also change it on the fly when you're in the clearance feature. All right, again, this is just a setup. This is a one-time. And once you're happy with the clearance percentage discount, the number of days in level 1 before it moves to level 2, you're gold, you're good. That's all you need to do. Now, to view the reporting of clearance items, you can go into inventory clearance details window. This is in the PaladinNsight. Again, that tab, clearance tab in the top right-hand corner. It's going to bring up all the items, and all the items that you have earmarked for clearance will be at the top of the list with a little checkbox in it. Right? If you want a copy of this in hard copy, you would just press the Excel at the bottom of the screen, and now you'll get a document showing all the closeout items and all the items that aren't set to close out. Now you can also review the reporting on clearance items in the inventory. So if you go in the inventory, you call up a specific item, in this case, the plier lineman 7-inch. On the pricing tab, on the right-hand side, it says sale list. If you click on that sale list, it will show you a list of all sales that this particular item participates in and whether or not the sale or the item has been deleted. In this case, it's active. It is on clearance level 1, which means it's on clearance. Now, The final slide here is talking about taking it from the computer where you're sitting down, you're identifying clearance items, to the RF terminal, or what we refer as the RF gun. It's the device that you walk around. You can count your inventory, you can change prices, you can order products, you can receive products. It's an all-in-one. You'll notice this display screen if you use the RF gun today. It's got quite a few more fields on it. We have moved to a much larger 15-line display, giving you more information to help you make decisions when you're walking the aisles. One of the decisions that you can make based on the order quantity and recommendation and sales history is you can just click on clearance item, and then this item will be assigned to a particular sale list for clearance level 1. This feature is going out in the field right now, so it will hopefully be out and available to everybody in the next, I would guess, next couple of months. So this is something that's really going to take you again from having to sit at your computer where you can now walk the aisles. And if you notice the information, it's just got a ton more information on this screen to help you make decisions when you're ordering, when you're counting, when you're setting items for clearance. There's just when you're changing prices and costs and all of that, you can do that right here using the RF gun. Well, that concludes the clearance tool or feature that we've added to Paladin. Hopefully it's going to make your life easier. There is a knowledge base article where you can go to portal.paladinpos.com, and you can search the knowledge base or the webinars for the clearance function. Just type the word clearance and this will come up, and you can watch this video and also see a knowledge base article as well. It includes both. The next webinar is about protecting your margins. How Paladin automatically protects your margins, how it really helps the staff, the cashiers, not discount beyond a minimum margin. There's a number of different margin protections that we have when you're creating sales, when it comes to your rewards programs, when it comes to prompt payment discounts, as well as any sales or promotions. You can determine and set those up as, hey, I want to protect my margin. Don't let it go below my minimum margin. Again, I'm just kind of giving you an idea of what the next webinar is, and I think it's really, really useful. If you don't use minimum margins, or if you go into your minimum margin, go to File Setup. The tab's called Min Margin. That is the global minimum margin. You can also go into the department setting as well and set a margin, a minimum margin in your departments that will trump the minimum margin across the board. So if you have, lumber or building materials versus over-the-counter items, you can just set those to whichever threshold you want for maintaining a minimum margin. Again, it's all about protecting your margins. EDI also helps with this, of course. When you've got the new costs coming down from your suppliers, you are staying protected. You know your specific profits that are coming in. All right, so stay tuned for that. Any questions? I do see some questions here. So first of all, see when item is added to clearance, does the price automatically change, or does it add it to the print bin tag file? Very good question. So the first answer is the price does not automatically change in inventory, but it changes at point of sale because the pricing plan is applied to that particular item. So although it won't produce a new bin tag with the new price on it, you can generate a sale sign and put it on those items if you like. Next, if I put something on the clearance list and it has a location, if we do a suggested order, will it try to reorder that product? No, it will not try to reorder that product, because what happens is in the inventory, we're going to, as soon as you hit that clearance button, it's going to lock the maximum quantity at 0, which will exclude it from ever showing up on the suggested order report. So there's no fear of that happening. And then I have some locations that show items to review under the clearance tab, but when click on that line will not show anything. I have some locations that show, yeah. So that clearance tab right now, I believe, works with department and number of items. I don't think location has been added to this yet, so that might explain why that's happening. Well, I don't see any additional questions. I do see some thank yous. I thank you for your time. I appreciate you guys showing up today. It was a rather crowded room today. We've got lots of people lining up for this webinar, and I really appreciate your attendance. It tells me that you're interested in doing what you can to improve your margins, to run your store better, and we certainly appreciate that. You can always go to PaladinPointOfSale.com, Retail Science, to see latest articles on helping you with retailing. We've got our webinars in there. This webinar will be recorded. It is recorded, and it will be up and available on the site probably by end of day today. So again, since there's no other questions and you guys have been so great, I'm going to go ahead and leave you. Let you have the rest of the day off. God bless and have a great, safe rest of the week. Take care.